Hey guys, what's up? MurderofBirds here, and this is my Akame got Kill episode 4 review. And this is actually, I think, the best episode thus far of the series. We got a lot of information. I'm really glad that we got little tidbits of the Imperial Arms last episode. And then this episode, they went full out, gave us a ton of information regarding the arms, different types, where it originated from, and all that stuff. So I really enjoyed that. And then we get the adversary, Zonk the Executioner, and, the whole deal between him and Akame when it comes to their weapons of choices. So starting off with the episode, I'm just going to get this out of the way real quick. There's a little hint of an upcoming revolt, obviously pertaining to, Night Raid dealing with the Prime Minister and the Emperor. At the very beginning of the episode, the boss went to go and see one of these wounded soldiers who ended up dying, gave her a list of supporters who are going to essentially be rebels to the revolt when it actually comes down. So that is something that is being worked on behind the scenes, which is very exciting. It's building up this type of adrenaline, this type of expectations of how this revolt is actually going to happen amongst the citizens and amongst the supporters and the rebel groups and all that stuff. So that's something that's really important, really interesting. But more importantly, I want to get into the Imperial Arms and how this episode portrayed them, and talked about the origins and about how many there are out there and all that stuff. So the Imperial Arms are, these secret types of weapons that were created 1,000 years ago by this old king or emperor or whatever. And I guess back in the day, I feel like back then they were very technologically advanced, more advanced than they are now, which is kind of contradicted when you think about it. But I feel like back in the day, they had all of the great scientific minds. They had those really super strong, high-level beasts. And, just the technology was there because you can't reiterate the Imperial Arms like you can in the present. So there are 48 in total, which is very exciting because that tells me we're going to see a ton of different varieties amongst this series so far. We already saw one new one this episode. And I'm really glad that, and also we got confirmation that every member of Night Raid, excluding the boss and excluding Tatsumi, has an Imperial Arms, because I mentioned in my last review, episode 3, that I had a feeling that each person had an individual Imperial Arms, but it wasn't confirmed, and I really like it. It's pretty cool. Each one has a specific weapon, each one has a specific ability, and not only do they have a specific ability, centered around that type of arm, but they also have a trump card. Like, for example, Bro's armor is able to become invisible. So I think that's pretty cool. So hopefully we get to see what every trump card is. We already know Akame's, her sword applies a cursing poison that ends up slowly killing, instantaneously kills the target. So hopefully that also has a trump card. I don't really know if it's every single arm or if it's particular arms, but I think that's pretty cool as well. And I really hope, I want Tatsumi to get one, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, because half of them are lost. Half of them were lost over the over the last 500 years, more than half of them were lost. So that means there's about 24 out there. And Night Raid each has one. They met Zonk the Executioner this episode, which he had one too, which I'll get into him as well. His was actually pretty cool. I feel like him as a character, he wasn't able to utilize it to its full extent, because if you had those 3 abilities, he had Future Sight, he had Transparent Sight, and he also had Illusionary Sight, and he ended up losing. So it's just like really, I feel like his character and how he used the items were just wrong. Like he had bad reaction time or anything like that, but I'll get into that more. But I feel like the episode for me was really interesting and really hyped and developed because of the Imperial Arms, went into so much specific detail, and I really want Tatsumi to get one. He's still working on his training right now, especially with Bro at the beginning of the episode, so I don't expect it to be like a giant sword because he had a hard time working with that at the beginning. Something like armor, something like what Bro has, seems like Bro's the only one who's able to have it. Bulat, I mean. So that the first half of the episode was really great in terms of how they went into the Imperial Arms and all the intricacies of it. Also, the fact that if 2 Imperial Arms users go up against each other, it's evident that someone is going to die. There is no draw. There is no there's no equal ground. It's someone eventually is going to die, and that's essentially what happened in this episode, arm versus arms. So Zonk the Executioner comes in. We get introduced to him. He seems like a very psychotic person, coming from a background of killing people as an executioner in prisons, to the point where it just becomes a sport to him, where he gets this adrenaline rush where he just decapitates people left and right. He has an Imperial Arms, which is so cool, like I just mentioned earlier. Has Future Sight, so you can see your opponent's motions before they happen. Transparency, so you can see through them. You can see if they're concealing any weapons and stuff. He does that with Akame. And then Illusionary, which is how he got Tatsumi in the predicament that he was in with showing Sayo. And it basically alludes to the heart, and it reveals the most important, the most precious person in that target's life. So, and he does that with Akame too, but Akame is able to just instantaneously react to it. So him as a character, I definitely like his, his psychotic nature. That's something that really intrigues me when it comes to any type of anime. The psychological, the psychology amongst the character, and he just seemed like a crazy bastard. He just wanted to kill people. He loved the adrenaline rush and the expressions on their faces and stuff like that. And judging from this episode, I know Tatsumi is trying. He doesn't come off as a wimp like many other characters do at the beginning of an anime, and he has that bravado, he has that tenacity to him. But it's just like he's in another league when it comes to Zonk. Zonk just blitzed him like crazy, was cutting him up left and right, and then Akame had to come and save him. Which it's understandable. He didn't really have anyone to come and save him throughout the other episodes, which is great. He was alongside with Mine and stuff like that, and Akame when they first met, he handled his own when it came to Ogre. But when it comes to Imperial Arms, when it comes to things like that, he either needs an Imperial Arms or he just needs to start developing a lot faster as a character, and to where he can actually go toe-to-toe with some of these opponents, especially with the Imperial Arms users. That's why I'm really hoping he gets one in the future, because then that would be one issue out of the way. But the Arms versus Arms battle, this was an epic battle. Akame comes in to save the day. She uses her sword, but she didn't get that the poison, the cursed poison out of the way, just because of the fact that she was going up against a high-level player, a high-level person like Zonk. And the action was just over the top this episode, and we got hint of a little tidbit, I guess you want to say, extended tidbit of Akame's past with the illusion that Zonk gave to her. And I feel like that's her sister. I think they briefly mentioned it. I think I forgot who mentioned it, but they went into like a little backstory of how Akame got into the night raid, how she met the boss, and I think it alluded a little bit to her sister. So her sister apparently is the most important person in her life. I don't know if she's missing. I don't know if she's held captive somewhere, or if Akame someday has hopes to reunite with her. But that's something that was expressed this episode, and it gave a lot of emotional impact to Akame as a character. Made me a lot more intrigued to learn about her history. I learned about all their histories ultimately, but that's something that we ended up learning about, and she also really cares about Tatsumi right off the bat. She cares about everyone about Night Raid, and I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a pairing going on. I really like the whole dynamic of Tatsumi getting introduced to all these females, because I felt like Mine had some sort of a thing for him last episode. Leone is too old for him, in my personal opinion. She seems a lot more mature, a lot more older. Akame and him are somewhere around the same age, so I feel like them two are going to have a thing going on. And but overall, the episode was phenomenal. It had a great action. I'm so glad we got the information of the Imperial Arms, the origins, the whole characteristics of each different type. Everyone in Night Raid has one. All of them have a name. All of them have a specific ability, and some might even have trump cards. But very great episode, very great battle. Zonk ends up getting blitzed. He ends up dying, which was pretty cool to see at the very end. And next episode, it seems like Tatsumi and Shile are going to be paired up. She's the one with the scissors. She likes to read books. She apologizes a lot, and I'm very interested to see the dynamic development between these two characters, their character development, their interaction, all that stuff. But that's all I got for this review. The episode was great, the best one thus far. If you guys want to give me your take on the episode, leave them in the comments. Also, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I greatly appreciate that. But that's all I've got, and I will catch you guys next week. Take care.